You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today is 8/3/21. Well, is there a crypto Robinhood in your future? That's the question. Our good friend Noble Drakoln is with us now to discuss that, other emerging trends in cryptos, and we're going to get his take on what he thinks of a potential bear market move in Bitcoin. And so goes Bitcoin, so goes the crypto market. Is that always going to be the case? We want to get his take on that. And if you got a question for Noble, just shoot us an email to kl@kerrylutz.com. Noble's been around this space for a while. He is really a thought leader in the crypto space. So it's great to have you back, Noble. So Robinhood is actually a crypto play. Do I have that right?
You know what? So full disclosure, I own Robinhood. I own crypto. So when I looked at Robinhood, and they've got two things, right? They've got the minds of the next gen group, right? Whether Generation Z or millennials, et cetera. They've got them on lock. You know, that's where all the meme stocks went, right? GameStop, AMC. So these guys have already locked and loaded that group. But more importantly, 3 days ago, they finally admitted that the largest Dogecoin, DOGE, or Doge, whatever you want to call it.
I like Doge. Doge.
Yeah, it's like people like Target, but it's still Target.
I like that too. Yeah, well, whatever it is,
whatever it is,
by any name.
Exactly. These guys have the largest wallet that's connected to them on Dogecoin. I think that right before the IPO, it was stated that they had over 33% of their income was in people trading the Dogecoin. So Elon Musk essentially built that company, convinced people to buy and swap. So as of now, the reality is they've got both sides of the street covered. Unlike Coinbase, which is really, a crypto play, which is going to try and grow into a banking play. From day one, Robinhood has already stated their intention to be a complete brokerage firm that allows people to deposit funds with them. And anybody who saw their report prior to going to the IPO, I watched it was over an hour and a half. Their intention is to include 401ks, IRAs. Their idea is that they're going to take their young audience and be the preferred brokerage for that same audience going forward and provide everything that they need in middle age and beyond. And in addition to, they've got crypto, and they're on lock on crypto, and they've got speculation to be bringing on Shiba Inu and some of these other meme coins that are out there. And so it's very interesting to see this play. And so when I bought into it, I bought it more as a Coinbase analog, because we didn't catch Coinbase over $200 per share, that it's a Coinbase analog and beyond. I think Robinhood just wants to be the Amazon of the investment world. And I think they may pull it off. They've got a good team.
All right. So there's an app for everything nowadays, Noble, right? And I got a couple of years on you, but we still stay up, both of us, on the tech. Mm-hmm. On the one hand, we've got Robinhood's kind of taking it from both ends. They're doing it. They're actually not getting any money from their clients, and they're just getting paid by the likes of certain HFT traders like Citadel for their data flow. Mm-hmm. So their data is worth more than their fee business. Yep. Does that trouble you at all?
Does it trouble me? No. And the reason why it doesn't trouble me is because I've been across that since they started. The funny thing is, when they debuted, they created a really intelligent platform. It was basically a website that collected the emails, letting people know that coming soon will be an app that allow you to trade the stock market for free. They collect over 1 million emails. They then went and actually built it and got the money for it. They marketed from day one, and they've always been a marketing company first. And so when they put it out that, we transfer our trades to Citadel, as well as some of the other HFTs out there, it's just like going to Facebook. People have been letting their data be taken for years and be resold. Facebook built their entire business off of individual putting up their pictures and photos and reselling it and repackaging their likes, dislikes, etc., and putting it out. And so I think of all the places that have done it, I can frankly say Robinhood has been the first one that was up front. Hey, we take your data, we pass order flow to these companies, and that's how you trade commission free. They said it from day one. They said it in their filings. They've never said anything different. And so we know that nothing comes free in this world, Kerry. Like you said, we got a few gray hairs. There's always a caveat when it comes to it. But the question is, are they providing a service? And up until now, none of these kids had ever thought about stock investing. 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds. Doesn't mean everybody should be. Just means that none of them had been thinking about it. And I think it's changed how people have accessed the markets. And so, no, it doesn't trouble me. I think that as they grow up, they realize that that's not going to work. And they've addressed that. Again, I'm not a Robinhood plant. I'm just saying that they really addressed it because they know that it can't last forever.
Oh, good. I'm happy that you're giving the contrary case for Robinhood, because look, the idea, I think Tim Cook said it best, that with these companies like Google, like Facebook, and Twitter, you are the product. Your data is their product. So at least here, in theory at least, you're getting something back. And Citadel's sponsorship of Robinhood actually came back to bite them with the meme stocks. All right. And the way that was handled, can we just review that a little bit? I'd like to just talk about that. So basically, Robinhood got in over their heads on those short busters. Let's call them short busters, short squeezers, etc. They got in over their head. Their systems weren't ready. They weren't really ready for prime time for this type of trading volume. I assume they're up to it now. They've scaled up, because in any company like Robinhood, a major part of your business plan is how do we scale up for 10 million, 100 million users? The same as with Facebook, the same as with Google, same structure. But, Citadel wind up losing like billions of dollars off of GameStop, because all the shorts, they had been financing hedge funds that were short all these stocks, and then they got it put to them. And let's face it, without market makers, you couldn't have naked shorting, right? Because it's illegal for investors, but it is somewhat legal for market makers, for broker dealers. So as a result, and then they pass that along surreptitiously to their hedge fund clients. They wound up getting a lot more than they paid for, didn't they?
Well, the question is karma real?
I love it, man. I love it.
When we talked about all the front running, and we talked about all, you brought up the Flash Boys right before we started talking. We talk about everything that happens in pushing order flow like Robinhood does to these major HFTs. And the reality is, those HFTs always think they're the smartest people in the room, that they're smarter than the people in the street, that there's no way XYZ could happen. And this was the perfect storm of XYZ happening. Up until this, in 2020, the SEC came down hard on Robinhood for providing inferior trade prices. So they end up writing a check or settling a check for over $65 million. Most people aren't aware of that, or haven't even talked about it, that they had to write a check because they were giving their customers and I think it was an underestimation, but claimed that they gave customers bad fills up to the tune of $34 million. I believe it was a lot more than that, and we've been in the industry a long time. But the reality is, Citadel and all these HFTs had to then come to Robinhood and force Robinhood to do something which was really illegal. They just halted trading and claiming that they couldn't catch up when we all knew they were capable of, in order to diffuse the pressure on the system, because there's no mechanism for what had occurred. We always have a mechanism for crashes. No one had a mechanism for runaway positivity. the Dow would be happy to go up 20,000 points, but sure as heck won't let it go down 20,000 points. And so this was a time where everybody's eyes had to open and realize that the lemmings that they were kind of taking advantage of also could be a herd. And, lions get run over by the herd all the time.
Yeah, that's so true. And it was a fascinating thing to see. And I think that it was also at the behest of other hedge funds, because the hedge funds that realized and recognized the vulnerability of those that were naked short on those meme stocks helped manipulate the Redditors and the subboards and all that, and helped precipitate this whole thing. I read one hedge fund made $700 million on GameStop, triggering that. And then what was really remarkable is usually these are one-time events, but they have persisted over a period of months. And it seems like the big boys are really helpless to do anything other than to liquidate their short positions. That's the only defense they have against this.
Don't just survive, thrive. The Financial Survival Network.
Fury Gold Mines is a Canada-focused exploration and development company committed to aggressively growing its scalable, high-grade gold assets with major drill campaigns planned across its 3.5 million-ounce portfolio. Fury is led by a management team of proven explorers and developers with a track record of success in advancing and financing project development. Fury Gold Mines is well-positioned to create value for investors with low-risk development growth and the potential for a new major discovery. Fury Gold Mines trades on the TSX and NYSE American under the ticker FURY. To learn more, go to furygoldmines.com. That's furygoldmines.com.
This is the Financial Survival Network, the information you need to thrive now more than ever.
So yeah, you're right, Kerry. It's pretty crazy how they just got ran over, but at the same time, I think that with the level of empowerment that happened for individual investors was for the first time they felt like they got a chance to stick it to the man, right? We had Occupy Wall Street. We had the discussion about the one percenters and people camping out until they finally got driven away. But that same mentality found its way into Reddit, found its way into the Telegram chat rooms. And people are starting to realize that, Wharton School of Business is great. Harvard, Yale are great. But when it comes to stock market, there is an element of the casino. And if you can get enough people going in the one direction at the same time, they can affect a change. And so, I remember my son called me up about GameStop. And he's like, Dad, all my college roommates and everyone's all on GameStop. People are calling me up. And it was a very interesting sociological phenomenon to see these guys so excited to be watching the market, and they could see direct results of their actions. I think that was huge. I mean, that was huge for those millennials, and they needed something like that, especially during the pandemic when everyone's sitting around stuck at home.
Well, usually when people find a way to bypass Wall Street or stick it to Wall Street gets their allies in government, at the SEC, at the CFTC, at every regulatory agency, and then at the exchanges, because they own the exchanges, and then they change the rules. You think they're going to change the rules here, or can they?
I think they've already attempted, right? And we start off this conversation talking about crypto and the off-ramp that's occurred that they're still trying to figure out how to regulate it. Some countries have blanketed change, banned crypto. China's on the warpath for traders. But I think the off-ramp is what has created it more difficult for the exchanges to do things, because they realize that people can just go play in a different pool. I think that in order for that to happen, and not saying that it won't, eventually it will happen, some kind of regulatory changes will happen. But in order for it to be effective and useful, they're going to have to do a blanket change. And I think that's what's coming down the pipeline. I think that now this is the quiet before the storm, before they start going across the board to change things. And so we'll see how long this renaissance period, like I told you, the roaring 20s lasts.
Hey, so yeah, and the blanket change got to be multinational and basically force all the recalcitrants to come along. If you look at what they tried to do, the G7, to put in a minimum corporate income tax rate, right? 15%. And Ireland said, We're not doing that. And there's still lots of other countries in the world that will not go along with it. So I haven't heard anything about that recently. And I don't even know that the U.S. is going to go along with it. Let's face it, it's really in question. So it's kind of like the Paris Accords or the Kyoto Protocols. Everybody agrees, yeah, we're going to do it. And then nobody does it. So it's interesting.
Precedent has been set, Kerry. This is the dangerous part about this. Sometimes it doesn't have to pass, right? Sometimes it's just the fact that a large number have agreed to the idea of. Nobody expected for us to have such onerous climate change rules on the backs of the United States. We knew that there were some issues. I think, it started out people paying attention in the 70s, 80s. All of a sudden, we're the ones taking the brunt of all the expenses on the climate change. So, I say, yeah, this is scary precedents that people are even thinking in this direction. And it's good that there's mavericks and outliers who kind of fought against it or decided against it. But now that it's on the books, and you know how that goes, there was no income tax in the United States until World War II, and they needed to collect a couple bucks to fund the war. And we have not got rid of it since then. So once you start putting these things in place and the precedents, who knows? And I think that goes back to the blanket statement for crypto. That could be the stage set for at least, okay, everyone's talked about this minimum corporate tax. Okay, let's talk about a minimum approach to crypto. The fact that it has been allowed to run as rampant as it has always been confusing to me as a 29 plus year veteran of the investment world. The government has stated in the United States that no one else could print money. That's the whole reason for why we have the Federal Reserve System. And so to be able to it to have gone under radar for so long means that it fulfills the needs and ulterior motives of whomever is allowing it to run rampant. And we know that crypto is not secret. Crypto is 100% double entry bookkeeping put forever on the chain. I don't know. I don't know if this is the maverick opportunity that people are looking for privacy and secrecy. It's more secret to pass you $100, Kerry, than it is for me to send you $100 in crypto.
Yeah, as long as we're away from the cameras and in the middle of a parking lot, wearing raincoats and hoodies, so nobody can see our faces. I guess you're right. Yeah, you make such a great point. I felt this for a while. What happens when the government says we're coming out with our own cryptocurrency, the Fed coin, and all others are illegal? And if you get caught with Bitcoin with intent to distribute, right? Possession with intent to distribute, you get 5 years in jail. How many brave mavericks are there going to be then when they have the show trials for the first 10 guys caught trying to sell Bitcoin and they get 5-10 years in jail? Let's see how brave the rest of the population is.
Well, we almost got the Fed coin. Right. That was actually in a proposal when before they decided to issue the COVID relief, that they were thinking about creating a Fed coin as a way to issue people money and almost create second-class citizens. Right. The poor would have this particular currency and then everyone else would have dollars. And so they had already played and toyed around with it and then backpedaled on that idea. They've already have poster boys in jail. We have the guy who did the Silk Road. He's been in jail.
Right.
They threw the book at him. He didn't even use the products. He created and facilitated an exchange, and they threw the book at him. He's under the jail. Then the poor guy who originally got just taken care of in California for being a money transmitting agent. They picked him up immediately, and he's doing time for a handful of Bitcoin. And yet Coinbase is on the stock market, and Robinhood is on the stock market. And so, it's when you say what's happening behind the scenes, it's oddly enough, they cherry pick who they want to succeed at this stuff and how they want to see it succeed. And so, like I said, it fits an overall agenda. So the idea that, I don't think they're going to shut down Coinbase by putting these kind of rules or laws in place, but I can imagine them changing how people interact with their crypto. And, the Guns for Dollars program or the Guns for gift cards, I wouldn't be surprised if that showed up because, the U.S. government always starts off with, light suggestion, then light incentive, and then you get into the coercion. So there might be a light incentive to trade in all your crypto for some Fed coins.
Yeah, velvet fist, if you will, for sure. It's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out, because I tend to agree with you. If there's one power the government has that is the supreme power that they've appointed to themselves and didn't have this right up until the Federal Reserve, it's the ability to print money. All right. That, I mean, you could argue about that, but basically legal tender laws, that makes the government fiat currency supreme. So the idea that they would allow, it's like, it's like Don Corleone has got the numbers concession here in the Bronx, and then he just allows some freelancers to start selling numbers on his corners. And you say to yourself, well, wait, the Don's in charge here. Why would he let competition come in? He must have an ulterior motive, right?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they've got all the money they need, all the capability, all the agency they need to pretty much solve almost any problem they need to get solved. And if they felt Bitcoin was a problem, they would have solved it. It seems like there's an experiment to run here, and I'm curious how this plays out in the long run.
Hey, remember Joe Pesci in the beginning of the movie Casino, to belabor the mob analogy to the government a little further? He said there's a lot of problems in the deserts, and there's a lot of holes in the desert where those problems get solved. And the government is no different. So if they've perceived it as being a problem in need of solution, they would take care of it. And like you said, they're basically picking winners and losers in the space. Coinbase is a winner. Robinhood potentially a winner, because if they weren't, they'd be gone, right?
Yep. And Binance is a loser. And so Binance is being targeted for money laundering and whatever else they're tacking them on with. And Binance can't come to the U.S. So there's all these, choosing. Ripple was fine up until Ripple wasn't, and now it's getting SEC spanked. It's just kind of interesting what the overall game plan is on all of this. And in the meantime, all the regular people have been swept up in it. It's not that we're if the rules came out and we were all made criminals by default because we participated in it, there's nothing much we could do. And so this is something that needs to be addressed, almost like the immigration issue. Yeah. That's a whole nother story that, how are we as financial people supposed to look at all of this when things are being allowed to progress as they have been?
Hey, just remember, when Bitcoin is outlawed, only outlaws will have Bitcoin. Right? Just like guns. It's no different. Anywhere the government sticks its nose into the tent, there's going to be winners, losers, and bad results for some. Life-changing, life-altering. Hey, Noble, we want to connect with you on the web. We want to find out more about you. Where do you go?
Yeah, it's easy to find me. I always tell people, hit me up on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, Noble Drakoln, best place to reach me. I use Twitter sometimes, @Drakoln. But yeah, just connect with me anywhere. We've got a lot of crypto projects. Like I said, disclosure, I own Robinhood. Just think anybody missed that the first time around. I mentioned Shiba Inu. I own some Shiba Inu. I own Bitcoin. The reality is, this is an exciting time to be in this new space, and it's worthwhile to just kind of pay attention to it. And I don't have any answers, but the reality is I'm still swimming in the waters.
Hey, you might not have answers, but if you can ask the right questions, eventually you'll get to the right answers. And if you have a question to ask a Noble, just send an email to me, Kerry Lutz, KL@kerrylutz.com. And don't forget, go over to financialsurvivalnetwork.com, sign up for your free newsletter. Noble, really enjoyed our chat here. Sorry we got interrupted by a lightning strike right by my house, which literally put the power down and shut down the internet. Your worst nightmares ever, losing power and losing internet. Not something you ever want to go through in life. All the more reason to get a generator, have backup batteries, which I have, but I didn't have hooked up to my equipment because I just moved. We'll talk to you again real soon, Noble. Thank you so much.
Kerry, it's good seeing you, my friend. Bye now.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.